You found your way here to Waking Up with Ryan. I'm so glad that you pushed play. This is the place you and I come to wake up together. So let's take a deep breath and begin. Good morning, my love. I'm so excited to bring you today's episode. We're going to do something a little different from what we're used to. Today, we're going to have a conversation about awakening with a very special, important, valuable person in my life. And I just wanted to bring you into it, to give you the opportunity to hear how myself and this person have been moving through our own awakening, our own challenges, the things and the people who have supported us. This isn't an interview. This is not the intention to have an interview. Rather, to just have a real, honest, vulnerable conversation about this experience of being human, of, striving for awakening and walking our spiritual path. And so I'm really glad to open up the kind of conversations that I'm often having with the people in my life who I walk the path with, and being able to share that with you. And so before we go into that conversation, I just want to honor what we do every morning together and just have a short morning practice. And then if you choose after this practice to continue listening to our conversation, you're, of course, more than welcome to. So let's just take a moment, as always, to just gently close our eyes. As we turn our attention inward, we allow it to drop down into the center of our being, where life just is. No thought is required for this life to be. No planning or structure needed for this life, this you, to exist. As we close our eyes and rest our attention back, relax it back and deep within ourselves, we remember the ground of our existence. So let's take a few deep breaths here, in through the nose if you can, and out through the mouth or the nose, whatever feels most comfortable for you, as we inhale and let it go. And inhaling again, deep, stretching your body from the inside out with your breath as you fill your belly, you fill your lungs, your chest. And exhaling, giving your body the gift of this moment to relax itself into what is already and always here. One more deep breath in, as if you're giving your body everything it needs. Exhaling and relaxing, dropping, releasing. Relaxing your breath now, and just simply taking a moment of surrender. Surrendering for a moment who you think you are, what you think you need to have happen today. Letting go of the vision your mind holds about what life is and what people are and what your purpose is, and instead just allowing what is meant to be, to be. Allowing the very ground of everything to hold you, to realign you, to fuel you. And all you need to do is give it your permission. It's like a remembering that it is always here. When we call on this universe through prayer, through meditation, it's not that we're doing something to make it come. It's already here. What we are doing is simply reminding ourselves that it is here. And so we'll take a deep breath in and surrender everything on the exhale, allowing yourself to be held. We trust that within our psychological, emotional, spiritual DNA exists the plans for our growth today, for our doing today. And we simply allow ourselves to be shown. Okay, beautiful. When you're ready, you may open your eyes. Thank you for joining that practice. And I invite you to stay here for my conversation with Jamie Lynn Sigler. For those of you at home, I get the honor and the privilege to share with you a conversation with one of the dearest humans that has crossed my path. And I'm very clear that Jamie crossed my path in a way that was perfectly divinely organized. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've seen Jamie's work, whether it was on Sopranos or Entourage or a million different films and TV shows, and you've maybe tuned into her podcasts. Maybe you've seen her incredible advocacy work for the experience of multiple sclerosis that's been a big piece of Jamie's life, certainly publicly for the last, 20 years now?
I've had the disease for 25 years. I've been public about it for 10.
And so this is Jamie Lynn Sigler. What you'll find is Jamie's capacity to be honest and vulnerable and real. That's my favorite thing about Jamie Lynn. I mean, many things, but one of my most favorite is your capacity, your courage. And you're going to say, I'm not courageous, and I just want you to take this. You have this incredible courage to be really honest and vulnerable and real. And I'm really happy and honored to share that, what we have and that dynamic with my new friends.
As am I.
So welcome, Jamie Lynn.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to start with a question for you. Mm-hmm. Just to kick off, what or when did you first have a moment that the universe was trying to shake you awake?
In hindsight, I feel like the universe has been knocking at my door, shaking my home for as long as I can remember. I just didn't learn how to listen, and that's okay. I think a lot of my realness and courage that you speak of comes from experience that we can label as painful and hard, unfair, but I am able to look at all of them now with such gratitude because they brought me back to myself and to a place where I could listen to this message from the universe of slowing me down, pulling the reins, and making me hear, see, feel, experience what was in front of me. And I think that we all have things in our life that happen for us to do that. MS happens to be one of those things for me. You have been very intimately involved with my sort of journey with MS and figuring out how to live alongside the experience of having it, but still find hope and love and happiness and joy and peace, despite living with a neurological disease with no cure. I can pretty confidently say that the girl who started working with Ryan, how many years ago?
16
Yeah.
years ago.
I don't think ever would have imagined that she would be who I am today. And it takes a lot, I think, for me to be proud of myself. Being honest and being real and being vulnerable was not my natural state, was not how I came into this world. I came in with a lot of fear and a lot of confusion, particularly around the concept of God and spirituality and faith, and really having no foundation of that, but desperately knowing that I needed it and searching for it. I think the universe really shaking me up was what's just bringing me back down to some foundation and finding roots. Yeah. And I always say it's like I was lost at sea and Ryan threw me.
Well, okay, let's not go there yet.
Okay, but you doing that, you were who the universe sent to me to be able to do that. And it's not that life became easier after that at all. But I know I'm bolstered by something that I can turn to because it's inevitable that life will keep lifing.
Yeah.
It's not that I get comfortable ever, but I feel safe.
Wow.
Yeah. For the most part, I live a very contained life. Whether it's intentional or not, I'm not sure, but it allows me to be independent and allows me to feel safe with the disabilities, the physical disabilities that I have due to MS. That being said, no one in my family has a physical disability, and there's a lot of things that they still want to do, traveling being one of them. So whenever
your children are hardcore athletes.
They're active little
your
boys.
Your husband's an athlete.
That's right. Whenever I can think of one of the more recent times when we travel, going out of town, navigating an airport, going on this beach vacation that should be magical and wonderful, and I just get confronted with how difficult it is for me. And resentment arises, and I'm not resentful so much for myself, but for my family, and having them to go slower, having to make these accommodations. And I can find myself in the sort of, thing of if I didn't have this, it could be this way, or, and that's okay, because what I've learned is I need to be able to feel those feelings. It's not like you develop this spiritual practice and it's all of a sudden just fixed and you never have to go through this shit again. You know what I mean? It constantly arises, and now I welcome it. I allow myself to feel it. I acknowledge that I deserve to feel that. This is a difficult thing to navigate life with. Everyone has difficult things that they have to navigate their life with. And I'm very aware of that. I never have the feeling oh, you don't get it. Everyone in the world gets it.
I think one of the things that happens for people, and I don't love using the term, but the victim mentality of it's just my life that is more difficult than everyone else's. It's something that we see a lot in people.
Yeah.
And I think I grew up with a lot of that. It felt so alone in my experience and so other and so different from everyone else. And all I could think, because there was no vulnerability, right? There wasn't the ability to talk about this stuff in my family system, right? So of course your natural thing is to be well, my life is it's just the way this is for my life. It's really, really
Yes.
hard. And a person could look at you and, see where you've been, what you've done, and what you've experienced, which a lot of people dream about and maybe don't ever experience in their
Yeah.
life. And look at people like you or anyone and have this image of like, I wish my life was like that, or I wish my life was that easy. So to be able to really understand that everyone has their own MS,
Yes.
right? Everyone has their own
Disability,
whatever, and we could use like a big spiritual word, their own crucifixion,
Yeah.
that place in life where they just feel stuck, like I am stuck here. I can't breathe. I'm backed up against a wall. I don't know what to do. To hear you share that your spiritual journey has not been one that's just like made everything better, but instead gave you the fortification, the foundation to be able to process, to be able to
Yes.
sit with, to
Yes.
be able to explore, okay, this MS, this experience that we call MS, this failing of my physical parts of my body, this stripping away from me the capacity to live my life how I once did, and having to enter into this chapter where I need to adapt and I'm not able to run on set. I can't play a character that's completely able-bodied. That you went from a life of keeping that hidden out of fear that you won't be hired, that you won't be accepted, that you won't be loved, that you will lose what you have. What's the journey been like for you to be able to stand up for yourself?
Yeah. Because I am fully accepting my circumstance, the way I move, the way I walk, I want to show up in this body. I don't want to perform a body. I don't want to pretend I'm anyone else. We don't have to talk about MS. Just me being out in the world, I represent people with MS. Even to my youth, before MS presented itself to me, I was always hiding. I was always feeling the same things. I can't blame MS for making me feel those ways. MS is a huge part of my story, and it's just allowed me to finally take care of myself. And I don't know if I would have, or I don't know how else I would have found it, but who I was and the things that MS amplified isn't because of the MS. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just allowed me to pay such close attention to myself. When you do that, then when you look out at the world and other people, you just acknowledge everybody is going through it. But I don't want MS to be my thing. Let's be clear. This could be how you relate to me, or be how you're like, oh, she gets hard, so I'll listen to her. But I'm so much more than this disease, and I'm so much more than that. And so to be able to walk in an executive's office and say, if I'm right for you, great, this is how I come. It's been a slow progression of that.
Right, which is the polar opposite of everything you did for years post your diagnosis at 20 years old?
Yes.
While
It was
filming The Sopranos.
hide it. Then as it started to really present itself, lying. So I have a back issue. I have a knee issue. I have this. And then when I did come public.
And dealing with the stress of worrying about reading a scene ahead of time. I mean, I'm sharing your own story, but I know your story. And also, it's worth saying everyone can also read your story.
Yes.
Because I think by the time this podcast comes out, your book will be out in the world, which is called...
And So It Is.
And So It Is. We'll get to that in a second. But you share a lot of these stories in that book, and I think every human needs to read that book. And I'll give you your flowers for a moment. And I've shared this with you when I got to read an early copy of it, because you have such a way of offering such loving guidance, emotional guidance, spiritual guidance, but just by telling your stories. I don't even know that you were writing them.
I wasn't.
Trying to teach people anything, but literally every page, almost every paragraph of every page, there's a thing that jumps out that I then am relating to. We have different life stories. I mean, different life experiences. But as I was reading your book, it's just I felt my story so seen.
And that's all I wanted.
Yeah. When you're sitting here saying that's why I wrote the book, isn't that what it's all about? Being with each other in these crucial, difficult moments, actually caring about who someone is and what they are going through and what they've been through, and actually like really understanding someone, you're that way off camera. You're that way in everyone's life. I'm that way too. Like
Yes,
I
you
find
are.
people fascinating, and when I see someone, I don't just see like a face and a body and like I see like a whole life,
Yeah.
a whole being. And I genuinely am fascinated, and I genuinely care. And you're that way to all your people, like you. And this is actually not me trying to compliment.
I know.
It's really me trying to share and support people at home to remember to be that way. To remember that like what we're really here for is to be with each other, right?
And sometimes to be able to do that, you need to take the time to witness yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Much of my book, 90% of it, is moments, and I lay it all. I mean, I don't hold back.
Right.
You can say
100%. No, I don't. Yeah.
As moments that even though they were painful, I felt so unlovable. And so I could never imagine if anyone knew the thoughts in my mind or what I was going through, they would never want to look at me again. They would reject me. These are things that I felt such shame about, such guilt about. And to finally, like, to look back and witness your life, and which is why I can just say, like, one of the last lines of the book is like, now I hope my story is yours now too, because like you can look back and go, oh my God, I have such compassion for myself. Like I was doing the best I could with the tools that I had at the time. And everyone deserves to do that. Maybe you don't have to write a whole book about it, but to go back and to witness yourself and forgive yourself, have love and compassion in moments that you weren't not that they weren't available necessarily, but you couldn't take them in or accept. Because there was many moments that I could look back that felt like threats, that felt scary,
Right.
but I can see now was like olive branches literally from the universe. It wasn't shaking me up. It was like trying to hold me and hug me, and I was rejecting because I was scared. But I have such faith moving forward though that I still don't have it all figured out. I don't know, but I'm going to trust that the love and the opportunity is going to still come for me to figure it out.
Amen.
And I think that when you do that for yourself, and once you do that, then the whole world looks different than the way that you see. Then you can hold that space for other people. Then you can love other people because you love yourself.
A complete shift. You don't just say that you accept everything happens for a reason in this kind of flippant way, but that you actually could hold that, and what it actually means to be able to really hold that. Like you're sitting here in a place in your life where you've had time and support and practice and like therapy and all the things to go from, as you were saying before, like when you first got this diagnosis, and before the diagnosis, when your mother was wrapping, putting in the evil eye in your bra and saying to you, like, the children in the children's theater, like, they're not going to like you.
Everyone's jealous of you. No one's going to like you, which was my biggest fear. All I ever wanted to do was be liked.
And so what did you do? You prayed, let's just make something wrong with me. Make something wrong with me so that I can be more liked, so that I'm not so threatening.
I would ensure that I felt that if something was wrong with me, nobody could really not love me. How could you be mad at me? How could you be jealous of me if something was wrong with me?
Right. As if it was your fault that you came into the body you came into with the talent that you had for theater and music and the arts, and looked the way you did, and kind of found this path. It's really interesting in your manifestation.
Yeah.
The path found you earlier than it finds most people.
Yes.
And you had the right people at the right time, and you started to shine, and you were doing what you loved. Theater, right? In your community theater, across the board. And your mother witnessed the way you shining could be threatening.
Because of her own traumatic experiences in her life that she just didn't, as many of our parents, right? I don't know how old people are that are listening to this, but the way that we speak, the conversations we have now, they just didn't
Of
have
course.
back then.
And your mother grew up in a very dangerous environment.
A lot of trauma.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma. And one of the more beautiful gifts that I have been given from my book is when my mother read it. And I was nervous isn't the word, but just a little like, oh, how's she going to feel about this? Because I do speak very honestly. And the first thing she told me was, I'm so proud of myself. I did the best I could with the tools that I had. And I don't want to get emotional, but like to have my 75-year-old mother forgive herself finally, and all that came from was me doing that for myself and her wanting to do that for her, right? So that's the beauty of vulnerability and just letting go and trusting. It's very hard to share this much of your life. But I can't think of any other way to exist now, And again, it's never too late. This wasn't an overnight thing. This is like, I take you through decades of my life. This is not, and like I said, it's still evolving. I was met with one of the most traumatic experiences of my life a year and a half ago where I almost lost my son. The most pain I've ever been in my entire life, but also the most love I've ever felt in my entire life, right? And that completely shifted me, and also I think made me another whole version of myself, And
you shared with me one of the beautiful experiences, if you can share, sitting in that hospital room with your son.
Yeah.
When everyone reads your book, if they haven't yet, they'll read the real deep, honest experience of the kind of earth-shattering insanity and tumult, trauma that was for you, obviously, for Beau, and sitting there in that hospital room you shared with me just about an hour ago as a mom, what that did for you in your recognition of your relationship with your mom.
The moment I became a mother, I looked at my mother completely differently. I thought I was prepared and I wasn't. I was like so overwhelmed and so terrified the moment Beau was born. Even though the moment they put him on my chest, I was like, oh, hi, like I know you. And it's a very intense and beautiful thing to kind of go through all of that. I lost a brother, and I remember, being in the hospital. There was one particular moment that we didn't know if Beau was going to pull through from a procedure. Myself and my husband Cutter were outside with my parents who flew in, and the four of us just like pacing in this hallway, kind of not knowing what to do. Like, you don't know what to pray for. You don't know, like, the world literally stops. And I would look at my parents and be like, they just lost their son.
Right.
10 years ago, and now this is happening. And as traumatic as that was, because I was advised by my editor of my book, like, I don't know if you're ready to write about this. You usually need 7 years post-trauma to write about it. I was like, no, I'm so ready. Because you're just so present with these like pictures and snapshots in your mind that you, like, I don't know, it just felt very necessary for me to share.
I think from my purview, you could tell me if I'm wrong, you were also, you had a decade and a half of self-reflection, self-awareness work, personal practice, embracing your own difficult experiences as something that's trying to shake you awake, and embracing that process of waking up. And so going into that hospital, in a way, you had years of preparation for something that was terrifying.
In those moments in the hospital, I had an awareness that everything that I had been through had been preparing me for this. And I only share this because Beau has given me permission to, but him coming out of his experience, he had a near-death experience, which we've all, heard about or known somebody that's had one, and they're all very seemingly consistent. Everything that I've wanted to believe about the world, everything that I've wanted to believe is out there, like everything I had been subscribing to that I've never really talked about with my children, right? If they have questions, I will answer, but it's not something that they seem to be curious about quite
drawn
yet.
to that. Yeah.
He had all the information for me, and it was overwhelming and magical, and, you know, and again, not without his own difficulties. We talked about like carrying that as a little boy is a lot.
I mean, literally in what we experience as a coma, him having conversations with God, having conversations with spirit, you know, coming back into this world as a changed being. I'll never
Completely.
forget when you called me as he was kind of coming out and communicating this way, and it was like, you know, rightfully so, as a mother, you were both like, oh my God, this is incredible. And like, also like, how is he going to be a boy in the world?
And also,
he's
where's
11
my
years old.
son that I've had for the last 10 years?
Mhm.
He's different.
Mhm.
I've had to let go of the Beau that I had before.
Mhm. I'll never forget, just going into our story for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Briefly, we knew each other in a very professional
Yes.
way. I was training to be an agent and producing, and you were an actor, still are. And we knew each other professionally, but not deeply.
No.
And then I was going through my own massive kind of awakening.
Yeah.
Transformation. I confidently can say that now. It's like I was experiencing an awakening. Still am to this day. I was in a place personally in my life where I had left my identity as like an entertainment professional behind.
That was very secure and very successful.
Yeah. I mean, I'd come from, like, we both have Broadway backgrounds. Like, had come from doing a show on Broadway to working at this big entertainment company and then another one. And I, through that, was having my own spiritual awakening through practicing A Course in Miracles and my own yoga practice and reading all the books. And this is all I cared about. Like, I was no longer reading scripts for work. I was like reading The Power of Now or whatever book of the moment. It was all I thought about. It was all I cared about. And it came to a moment where it became very clear to quit the entertainment business and to go on a journey of like, all right, universe, like, I'm going to put this shit to the test now.
Yeah.
You know, like, if I'm really going to dive into this, like, you're going to show me how you're going to take my life and show me what you would have me do. And it got to a point, and again, I'll tell the full story another time, but where like I literally had no more money. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I had somehow, even though it was super scary and painful, I knew I was being guided somewhere because I just had this passion for what I was experiencing. And then there was a day where I had moved out of my house. I couldn't afford the rent. I was living in my sister's house. You and I ran into each other at a smoothie place called Earth Bar. You had no idea what was going on in my life. I certainly had no idea what was going on in your life, especially at this time you were still closeted about MS, and you saw me, used to me in like the more professional garb, in like yoga pants, and I think I had a feather in my hair. You just reminded me.
You did.
I had just come back from like a festival where I like ate mushrooms for the first time and like had this like incredible experience. I was in like a hippie, like new agey vibe.
For sure.
And you were like, what the heck? Like literally what's going on?
Yeah.
And I think I shared something like, you know, I've had this experience. I'm like in this process of finding myself, and you asked me, what are you going to do professionally? And I said, I don't know. But I know it's going to have something to do with helping people in this journey because I'm obsessed with this journey for myself. And like, there must be people out there, whatever. And you were like, okay, cool. You then called me, and I remember going to your home the next day. This is how I remember the story.
Okay.
You shared with me that you felt very clear that you needed to talk about something that you don't talk with people about.
Because I was at that point in my life, my bottom, where something had to give. I could no longer go on the way I had been going on. So that's where we were lining up.
Yes. So give a little, like let's hear from your flip point.
I think
we've not done this really.
Yeah. I was at this point in my life where I was just like, I was 30 years old. I was unemployed. I was single. I was sick. And I had found myself retreating from everyone and everything. Just like, who would want to be around me? Like, who would want me? Like, the disease had really, manifested. I didn't even know how to help support my body at the time. I was the lowest I had been at that point in my life. And I just knew that something had to give, something had to change. And for whatever reason, and I was so secretive about my MS. I mean, some of my own best friends didn't know. There was some sort of alchemy with the two of us, and very divine, of kind of like where you were in your life. For whatever reason, you felt like the safe place for me to land. Like you felt like the person that was going to take my hand and walk me out of this cave. I didn't know into what. And you just felt like the person that was going to help me do that. And you are, and you were, and you did. You changed my life.
And you changed mine. What I remember is that you were sharing with me about, your current, the MS and how it was impacting your life. And in the back of my mind was something that I kept hearing from studying A Course in Miracles and listening to all the Marianne Williamson. She would always quote this from A Course in Miracles, which was a sentence that says, sickness is caused by a stress placed on the body that the body is not meant to carry or to handle. I'm going to say that again. Sickness is caused by a stress placed on the body that the body is not meant to carry or to handle. What it also, my take on that was, and not just my take, but the non-dual take, the Advaita take, the mystic take, is the ultimate stress we put on the body that the body's not meant to handle is the belief that we are the body. Is the ultimate, the biggest stress we put on this body.
Like that this is me.
Is the belief that it is you. And all the stress and pressure that comes with, therefore, if I am this body, then I need to prove myself. I need to get what I need. I need to get approval from the world. I need to be successful enough in order to be, safe. Just safe. Just to be safe. And that's a stress that we place on. So I remember hearing you share what was going on. I remember hearing this sentence from A Course in Miracles, and two things were happening in my mind. I remember this vividly. One was, who the fuck am I to help this person? Like, I love, adore, and care for her, the very little that we've interacted, but this is the big leagues. It's irresponsible. That was what was going on in my mind. It would be irresponsible for me to even try to help. She needs major support. This is not just like someone who just had a breakup and is like needing support with healing from a breakup. Not that that's not hard. That's very hard. But this was a different situation. So that was like one conversation going on in my brain. The other one was this deep curiosity. Listening. I remember just listening to every word you were saying and being curious. Because of that sentence from A Course in Miracles, sickness is caused by a stress placed on the body that the body's not meant to handle. Getting curious about what is the stress. Like, I wasn't curious about the MS. I was curious about what is the years of stress? And I remember asking you, and your first response was sharing the current stresses of what it means financially and work and how hard it is to have relationships. And I can't go be an actor and wear heels on the red carpet. And I remember being okay, hold on a second. Take me back to when you were 5. Let's go back to recognizing that you've been experiencing, like all of us, a lifetime of stress. And where I want to take this is in your book, you really identify this. And there's a core belief that you identify in your book, which is, I'm a problem. And I don't want to be a problem. I get it. Because I can think about the little me who was just doing everything I could to not be a problem for others. You talk about in your book the way that belief, I'm a problem. I'm a problem. And therefore, because I'm a problem, I need to learn how to play small.
My brain would also constantly look for proof of it.
Isn't that what we do with the core belief?
That's right. So every weird look or every tone of voice or there it is. There it is. I had 1,000 pieces of evidence every day. And but I stuffed it down. I didn't talk about it. I just kept trying to show up, trying to make myself easier. And when it really came to a head was when I was on the biggest show in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And to sort of live that, like, kind of like what you were saying, where you would just assume like this girl is riding high, and I wasn't. I was falling apart. I had no idea how to live up to my own expectations of who a person on this type of show should be, would be, until the very last day of it. And so that belief carried me and contaminated every experience of my life. But what I can say is, in the undoing of that, once I was able to recognize and see myself, witness myself and my life in a different way, I've also been able to look back without the brain looking for evidence of that and seeing it in a very different way as well.
At the beginning of my work, when we first started working together, it was all metaphysics. It was all prayer and meditation and your relationship with the divine, which is like...
And also how to fix the body. Like it was finding that connection, but I also had that, okay, now through this practice, my body will heal. My body will heal. There was still always this sort of undercurrent for me of like, okay, this might be the avenue that gets me to finally heal my body.
Right. So you had like a desired outcome for investing in your development.
That's right. But thankfully, through the commitment to the work, it was this moment where I was like, oh, wait. I have healing completely wrong. Like, I haven't even thought about healing me.
I've gotten to witness you releasing, you've even said to me recently, like when I'll say, how are you? And we're having a catch up and you'll say, my body's never been worse, but I've never been better. That I like, this, I created a course, How to Be Okay When Things Are Not Okay. Like that's it.
Yeah.
It's like what you've done is you have dropped into a broader, wider sense of self that then is able to bear witness to the mind that's saying, oh, that person didn't interact with me or doesn't like me, or rather than being the small person that is addicted to those thoughts and has no idea that they're just thoughts that are opinions about what, painting a picture of what's happening, whether it's accurate or not. You've dropped into this broader space so that you can recognize you're the witness, you're the awareness of those thoughts, which is, I think, what you were saying when you're like, oh, I'm able to kind of separate, fall back, and watch.
And what got me there was speaking it out loud.
Yeah.
Was one day just being like,
yes,
I feel this way. I might sound crazy, but I feel this way. Like, that's where vulnerability can be this gateway to this ability to kind of have that awareness and that space. You have to speak it out loud. You've got to get it out there, because I'll tell you, one time I went on this girls' trip. Again, another sort of triggering thing, right? When there's a lot of big personalities and whatever, like I can start to feel the old patterns of like feeling small and then like on top of it having my disability and I'm slowing everybody down and this must be so annoying for everybody and this and this and this and that. And when I left, I like felt kind of dark and like I was really consumed in these thoughts. And I called two of my best friends and I was like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling this way and this way. And they were both like, me too. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay.
Because the alternative to speaking it out loud is just giving it back to your mind and rerunning and then turning it over and over in your own mind.
And it gains momentum. It's like gains power.
Momentum.
Yeah.
It becomes more real in your experience. Right. And so the ability to just speak it out loud, and then I'll say, okay, when someone speaks it out loud, who do we want to be? Right?
Yeah.
Like what your friends did for you was they related.
Yes.
And validated.
And most of the times that happens. Most of the time.
What we don't want to do, which I'm glad you have friends in your life, of course you do, because you are that for others as well. What most people do is immediately go into trying to fix, right?
Yeah.
So like Cutter could have said to you, babe, you're crazy. Like everyone loves you.
Yeah.
Which is just simply an invalidation.
Which is usually what he does.
Well, we love Cutter.
I know.
it's just an invalidation of your experience.
My experience.
Right?
Exactly.
As opposed to saying, oh God, what was that like for you?
Well, we've had to work on that a lot as a couple. Because especially as like...
Yeah, me and Ori too.
Yeah, like as a partner, right? Like your partner tells you something that's going on. You're like, all right, how do we fix it?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, for us, especially with my MS, like sometimes I'm like, I don't need you to fix this. There's actually probably nothing anyone can do about this. I just need to say it out loud. And it's been a lot of, trials and tribulations with that. But even just last night, I had to, like, in full candidness, like I tell him like, my bladder's feeling funky today. I think I might have to go, pick up some protection for myself tomorrow. And instead of him sort of starting going, well, what did you, have you eaten something or did you do this? He just wrote, I'm sorry. And I was like, thank you. That's actually exactly what I needed. And you know how I react? I go, but I've been through this before. I'll be okay. Thanks. Love you. And had he not said, I'm sorry, it could have gotten us into a bad pattern of whatever. But because he just allowed the space and witnessed, like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Then I could then show up and be like, I've been through worse.
Right.
I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'll be with Ryan tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes experience. You can't teachings and people like you and the constant reminders are so beautiful and important and are doing such great change in this world. But I really want to emphasize that, like, it takes time to integrate and digest.
Yes.
It just does.
To get it into your bone marrow.
Yes. And
I have a client a coaching client that I've worked with for quite some time. So it's beautiful because it's given us, she like keeps like re-upping, wanting to like continue, which I'm like, I love working with this person. She's just like she's down
committed
for the work. And she personally touches a lot of people in the world because of what she does in the world and all of this. Like she employs a ton of people and like, so it's really beautiful because it's like this trickle down effect. But she said to me the other day, she was like, I know I've said this to you, Ryan, many times, but it's like, you'll say something to me and I'll be like, wow, that's really true and really fascinating. I never thought about it that way. And then it's like 6 months or a year later where I'm like, oh, that's what that meant. Like I thought I understood it, but I didn't understand it.
That's right.
It wasn't in my body yet to then live it.
That's right.
So I think your acknowledgement of letting people be where they're at, not striving to be healed, not striving, that's
what is that
that's
even?
the problem.
I mean, like,
where is what
that?
You were saying earlier,
it's
like a picture of some destination that doesn't exist.
That's right. And you have also taught me this. It's called a practice. And let me tell you, I've fallen out of practice. It happens. And I have compassion for myself to just pick up and get back. But the resistance to it, to the reality, I learned was just adding this other layer of suffering that I just didn't have to feel.
In Buddhism, they call it the second arrow. Do you remember? We probably talked about this at some point. The second arrow. The first arrow is the thing that happens or the emotion that arises or the situation that you don't want to have happen. The second arrow is all the thoughts and interpretation and judgment and story you take about it.
Yeah.
And there is no addressing the first arrow with the second arrow. And I would say the second arrow is here. It's the mind, right? You actually have to remove the second arrow so that you can address the core thing. And I think one of the things that I want to say that I've witnessed you do in terms of the people-pleasing thing is I've witnessed you get way more secure in just telling your fucking truth. Like in just being like, all right, well, this is what I'm choosing. And if they like it, fine. And if they don't like it, that's okay too.
That's what I mean. I mean, for me to sit in front of a television executive and not do my old thing, which is like, we can work around it. And like, don't worry. And I'm totally fine. It's like, no, I have a disability.
Yeah.
This is how I walk. Even for my meeting, I called, hey, is there closer parking? Normally I would spiral and stress and this. Never, because I wanted to not be a problem.
I want people to think about at home, like where their where they are probably largely unconsciously choosing to get quiet, to not speak up, to not communicate when
Yes.
something is happening that is going against their gut.
Just doesn't feel right.
Doesn't feel right.
And also advocate for yourself.
And learn to advocate for
If there's
yourself.
something you need, if you need something explained again,
Right.
if you need whatever it is, like a closer parking spot, if you
need to share with somebody, hey, what was just said, that is not in alignment. That doesn't work for how I'm choosing to live my life. Or this is how I'm hearing
this.
Right.
This is how I'm experiencing this. And if you want to share why, you can.
Totally.
But like...
Well, I think we don't do that often because we're so programmed to not want to shake up the foundation of what we believe is causing our safety.
That's right.
And so we stay in situations where we are perceiving that these are the foundations of my safety. This relationship, this job, this keeping my secret hidden. This is how I keep my life kind of okay.
In control.
The problem, though, is, you've heard the phrase, let go or be dragged. Like, you can hold that beach ball under the water for only so long until the more and more and more force it has when it crashes up to the surface and hits you in the face.
That's right.
So you can avoid and try to avoid, but at some point it's all going to explode. And then what we're going to typically do is look at what the explosion is and go, why is this happening? As opposed to going, whoa, I was like holding at bay my truth, my vulnerability, my honesty, my needs for so long, right? Just like for you, like this belief I'm a problem. For me, this belief I'm a problem, mine was more I'm not wanted. Which makes sense. I'm a triplet. Like I had a therapist who said to me, did your mother have 3 boobs? And I was like, no. And she was like, your mother probably could only feed 1 child at a time. Has to have been moments where you were like, I'm not safe because I'm not being, there had to have been moments where there were arms to scoop you up when you needed, all of us learn. And that's not my mom. My mom's a fucking saint for raising these children. And by the way, hearing you earlier, it's like I was getting teary-eyed when you were talking about the healing of your mom reading the book and her talking about being able to have compassion for herself. Like, that's all I want for my mom.
I know.
My mom. Like,
I know.
I love her. And she had both my parents had such challenging, traumatic, really scary environments growing up. And had to like put this armor on to be a person who could survive in that world. And then as a parent, my experience could only be interpreted as like, I'm not warmly loved here. I'm not, and it's taken years for me as becoming an adult to see like, oh, this wasn't where she was trying to be hard or difficult or not warm. I was in relationship with the parts of her that were trying to survive.
If you look at just the evolution of time and human beings, it's all been survival.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're entering into this time now, like how beautiful, like kind of this shift where we're like turning back onto ourselves. And I know that your parents, when they look at you with such pride of who you are in the world and what you do and what you put out, I know that there is a part of them inside that has pride for themselves as well, because they are such a deep part of your story. And I think that's kind of what my mom was talking about. But they didn't have, again, the tools and the conversations, right, to be able to deal with any of that.
I just want them to know that they did so good.
They do.
You know, I want them to know that they did so, like,
have you told them that?
Yes.
Okay.
Despite, now I'm saying it publicly.
Yeah.
It's like, despite all the hardship and challenge, and then having 2 teenagers and then getting pregnant with triplets.
Let me tell you though, quickly too, because I wrote about this in the book too, but I did a plant medicine journey and I had this vision of my mom, and I was given a very beautiful piece of advice. And then I won't give anything else about my book because I want you to buy it and read it.
She pans to camera.
I had this like vision of my mom in this like dark, like black, red desert, and she was alone, and she was like holding on to herself, and she was crying, and it was just like the saddest picture that you could ever see of somebody, right? Like alone, despair. And I remember just going like, oh my God, like my mom, like she has been through so much. She carries so much pain like this. And the facilitator put her hand on my shoulder and she said, Jamie, that is your mom's journey, not yours. And the way that you can show her the most love is to give all of her pain back to her. You hold here, you love her, you see her, but no one can actually heal and fully process unless they have all of the puzzle pieces, right? All of it. So you taking any pain from her is actually doing her a disservice. You think in your mind, whatever, to picture it. And I remember I picture it as I was like pushing like this box back to her. And like, because we always think, right? What like ancestral trauma are we carrying that isn't ours, right? Like some of it's just in our DNA, but like.
We also think the way I can love this person best is to save them from some of their pain.
Correct.
And that's what becomes codependency.
That's right.
And that's one of those things. And I think probably everyone listening has maybe one or two relationships in their life where they have a belief that says, if I don't continue to show up in the way, whether it's financially or whatever it is, if I don't continue to support this person in the way they've become accustomed and I've become accustomed, even though it's not working for me and it's certainly not working for them because I'm actually sparing them from having to sit with all the stuff that you're talking about. And they need all of those resources, that energy. They need all of that in order to have almost, you can imagine it like fuel for their own awakening, but it's on them to choose.
And I will say, and I can't like guarantee that this is but my relationship with my mother completely shifted without us communicating.
Right.
Like I did my own work.
You let her have her stuff. And there was no longer this position in you that said, I'm in your life to help fix you. Okay. Just because we're going to start wrapping up.
We could talk forever.
I know. There's something I want to talk about because in your book, you talk many times about angels that landed in your life that maybe at the time you couldn't have seen.
Yes.
And you tell two really profound stories about your experience while filming Sopranos. One was with James Gandolfini shooting the scene in the car where he demanded that you find your voice. The other was with, oh gosh, what is the actress's name who played your aunt?
Aida. She just flew out and spent a week with me in Austin.
And she was the one, correct, that on set yelled out.
Yes, she had diabetes and she'd be like, I have low blood sugar, like somebody get mommy a chicken salad. But it was just, she had no problem asking for what she needed and nobody had a problem getting it for her. It's like, oh my God, of course I got you. You're so amazing. Let me help you.
Right. And you were in the literal opposite place. And so she showed you someone who's just like, I have this need. I have no shame about this need. I'm just going to speak up and communicate the need. So what was the Jimmy Gandolfini piece?
I think Jim, he read me like a book. And I think he, in his own special way, he would just acknowledge, like, I know you got a lot of fucking shit going on under there. And he never pried and he never asked anything more than what I was willing to give, which was the bare minimum. But as an actress, I know that he saw more in me than I believed in myself. And in this one particular scene we did in one of the more famous episodes on the show called College. In the first season, there's this famous scene where Meadow, my character, asks him if he's in the mafia, flat out. And it really defined their relationship because he's loosely honest with her and she accepts the level of honesty that he has, but doesn't even flinch because like he's her dad and
Right.
she loves him and accepts him. It was like such a defining moment for my character, right? As like she's this little bratty know-it-all and she's this and calls it like she sees it, but like she is loyal. She fucking loves her dad and she is loyal to the core. And we had done this scene a handful of times, and I had come from being a very rehearsed person from theater and thinking like we do it the same way every night. I wasn't formally trained. I didn't really know how to like live and like be that.
Be present, throw
Correct.
the homework
and like
away.
who knows what the fuck it's gonna
As
be.
my teacher, acting teacher in college said, you need a dash of fuck it. To just like, you did your homework.
That's
now
right.
you just show up, you know who this character is.
That's right.
Let's just see what wants to happen.
Right. And hearing about who I was and how I was, I'm sure it's not surprising that I couldn't like let go.
Right.
But he said to me, do you feel like you've done everything you want? And I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, I actually don't know what that means. And he looked at the director and said, give her one more. And he said, just do something different. And I think I was in such shock and was so nervous that I wanted him to be my dad in that moment. Like I wanted to escape my reality so much and just live in what we were doing. And we were in this car, like the cameras are mounted, but no people were around us. There was no distraction. So I don't even know what happened. I was just kind of like, I found myself like, you know, it's like when you're performing and you're looking, but you have an awareness that there's cameras. Like when I looked at the radio station, I was like looking at the radio station. Do you know what I mean? I was just like so in it. And it was a magical moment. And he, throughout the show, many times would remind me that I was capable of that. And I think because he knew that I was so deeply afraid that I wasn't.
You and I had a parallel experience. Yours a little different from mine.
Yeah.
But still same. In that when I went in to audition for Wicked, I was in college and I happened to be in Chicago when they had an open call for dancers. And I was like, this is so cool. I'm going to go into this just so that I can have an experience of like auditioning for a Broadway show and like be around a bunch of professionals. Like, and my mind was literally like, I'm going to get cut in the first
you were just
group.
there for the experience.
I was literally, if I had any expectation, it was that I was going to get cut. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to go, like, do it, learn the choreography so that I could then go have pizza in Chicago with my friends who were also in town, move on with my life, go back to school after whatever it was, spring break, I think it was, and go back to school and teach my friends the choreography so that when 3 years later we graduated from college, we'd all be ready to, like, have the... That was literally my thought.
Wow.
And 5 hours later, I booked the job. You very similarly went into the Sopranos not even wanting to audition. You like had stuff going on in your teenage life. You wanted to go to sleepaway camp. You went into that audition with an epic amount of no expectation.
It's complete surrender. Complete like, I don't know, whatever. I'm going to do what I can do. Yeah, and then after that, it was just so many years of like, who do you want me to be? Do you want to be this one? You want to be this person?
Right, same.
And again, now I'm just like, this is who I am. It is liberating to feel like this is my interpretation. This is what I bring. And that is something I think that you can invite anyone that's like listening to do at any moment in your life. Like the confidence and the self-assurance to just be like, this is what I bring. We cannot compare ourselves to other people. Everyone brings some magical color to a rainbow, to a room.
For that person at home that hasn't had the breadth of experience of process and healing and support yet that you've had, and maybe they're like in the early days of their MS, whatever their challenges,
their hero's journey,
the pain, the divorce, the bankruptcy, the like entering into the darkness, dark night of the soul. And they're just like at the beginning of that and probably feeling, you know, alone, certainly overwhelmed, wishing this was different. Like, what would you say to that person?
I see you. You're not alone. You never have been. It's darkest before it's dawn. That one sentence has gotten me through a lot of things because it's just, I've learned time and time and again that right on the other side of it is change, shift. It's possible. And asking for help, whether that be in prayer, whether that be to another person, is just a step in the it just like opens the door. So I would invite you to ask for help because you deserve it. And there hasn't been a person that has ever been on this planet that hasn't been in a moment where they've needed that help. I invite you to love yourself enough to ask for help.
Ooh.
You know, I went through 30-something years of life a completely different way. And so it just feels so good to know it can be different.
Amen.
And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
Hi. I hope you're feeling even just a little bit more prepared to take on the day. But before you go, I want to share a few quick things with you. I really want this show to reach the people in your life who matter the most to you. So if you're someone who tunes in regularly, and if this show gives you something valuable, my request is that you send it to the people you love or post it on your social media, because word of mouth is how a show like this grows. And honestly, the more that it grows, the more I get to make for you. The second thing is that I really want to hear from you. I want to know who you are and where you are and what you might need from a show like this. So please take 5 minutes and visit wakingupwithryan.com/hello to fill out a short survey. If you want to go deeper on your path with me, come find me on Substack. Substack is home to my daily morning letter, and it's also where you can explore your healing in greater detail with longer learning sessions and guided meditations. And these sessions are live in real time. This is where the work really happens together. You can find the link to the Substack at wakingupwithryan.com as well. So I know that was a lot to remember, so I'll sum it up for you really quick. 1, share this podcast with your people. 2, fill out the short survey at wakingupwithryan.com/hello. And 3, go find me on Substack. Loving you from here.